All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going to peel back the digital map to look at a technology you use every single day, probably without even realizing it. It's this hidden engine that's powering some of the most common questions we ask our phones. I mean, think about it. You pull out your phone and you ask for the quickest way to work, avoiding traffic, and just like that, it gives you an answer. Or maybe you're searching for the highest rated pizza place within a 10-minute walk. How in the world does it know all of this? Well, it's not magic, even though it sure feels like it. The real answer is this incredibly powerful system that's constantly working behind the scenes. And honestly, it's a technology that has completely changed how we see and, interact with our planet. To really get what this system is, you have to start with a really simple fact. Almost everything we do, everything we care about, has a location. This technology is all about connecting information to a place on the map. This is a Geographic Information System, or GIS for short. At its heart, it's a framework for working with any kind of data that can be tied to a specific spot on Earth. It lets us manage it, analyze it, and see it all visually. And that's how we find patterns and build everything from simple maps to these super complex models of our world. So a GIS is so much more than just a pretty picture of the world. Every piece of geographic data really has two halves. You've got the spatial component, which just asks, where is it? And then there's the thematic component, which asks, what is it? The real power of GIS is how it connects the where and the what together. The core logic behind all of this is captured perfectly in what's called Tobler's first law of geography. It sounds kind of academic, but it's an idea you already know instinctively. Everything is related to everything else, but near things are more related than distant things. A coffee shop's business is more related to the street it's on than a street halfway across the country. It's this simple principle that lets a GIS find patterns we would totally miss otherwise. So, how does a GIS take our complex, messy, three-dimensional world and translate it into a language a computer can actually process? Well, it starts by modeling reality in one of two main ways. The first approach is the raster model. This divides space up into a grid of tiny cells, or pixels, kind of like a digital photograph. This is perfect for representing continuous data, things like temperature or elevation, where every spot has a value. The second approach is the vector model. This one uses distinct points, lines, and polygons to represent specific objects. Think of it like a huge connect-the-dots drawing for things like cities, roads, and property lines. So we have these different ways of modeling the world. But the real genius of GIS is how it organizes all this information. The secret? It thinks in layers. Imagine you have a stack of those clear transparency sheets from school. On the first one, you draw the landscape, the hills and valleys. On the next one, you draw all the roads. On a third, you draw the buildings. Now, when you stack them all on top of each other, you get a complete, multidimensional picture of reality. This is exactly how a GIS works, just with digital layers. And because all that information is organized in these separate but perfectly aligned layers, we can start to ask some really powerful questions about the relationships between them. This idea isn't even new. In fact, one of the most famous examples of this kind of spatial analysis happened way back in 1854. During a terrifying cholera outbreak in London, a doctor named John Snow didn't just treat the sick, he mapped exactly where they lived. Then, by overlaying that map of cases onto a map of the city's water pumps, he saw this crystal clear pattern. The cases were all clustered around a single contaminated pump. He essentially did a GIS analysis by hand, more than a century before the first computer could do it. It's an amazing story, right? But how does that same layer cake logic help us solve problems here in the 21st century? Well, let's say a city wants to figure out the best place to build a new school. They can use GIS to just start stacking those digital layers. First, a layer showing population density to see where all the kids are. Then, a layer of existing schools to see where services might be lacking. Then you add in more layers, like one for zoning laws and another for public transit routes. By combining all of these, the GIS can literally highlight the perfect locations that satisfy every single one of those conditions. So this technology was once a tool for highly trained experts using these massive, room-sized computers. How did it end up on the device that you're probably holding right now? The evolution was just unbelievably fast. In the 1960s, GIS was revolutionary, but it literally took up an entire room. By the 80s, it moved onto desktop computers, but it was still really complex. The 90s brought us the first web maps, which was cool, but the real game changer was the 2000s.
The explosion of GPS and mobile devices put a powerful GIS into billions of hands.
And that led to another revolution. See, with everyone carrying a GPS-enabled sensor in their pocket, we all started contributing data back into the system. This is called Volunteer Geographical Information, or VGI. It's the data we're all creating when we tag a photo's location, or review a restaurant, or report a traffic jam on a mapping app. This whole shift has a name. It's called neo-geography. It's this new era where making maps is no longer a top-down process that's controlled by just a few experts. Suddenly, regular citizens became the censors. We all became mapmakers. I mean, this represents a fundamental change. For centuries, cartography was the domain of official government agencies. But today, you have projects like OpenStreetMap, which are built and maintained by a huge global community of volunteers. And together, they're creating a free, editable map of the entire world that a lot of the time has even more detail than the official sources. So, from a secret tool for geographers to a democratic platform in all of our pockets, GIS has completely transformed our relationship with the world. And it leaves us with a pretty fascinating question to ponder. With this power now in everyone's hands, what new discoveries will we make together?